This is a very quiet and rather peaceful moment in terms of this particular site where I am today, because this is the former colliery site of Bevercotes, the former Bevercotes colliery, now called the more delightful name of Bevercotes Pit Woods. This is the River Meaden that bisects this site, and it really adds to the beauty of Bevercotes. It's a beautiful site, it's flower rich, and there's a lot of invertebrates here, but it's a very different site sort of geologically and geographically to most of those in Nottinghamshire. If you don't like hills and sort of high colliery spoil heaps, this is the site to come for you, because there's no really high spoil heaps here, but they're all quite shallow, about as high as the one you can see behind me and the one that's just to the side of me. Even by my standards, they're quite easy to get to the top. But the joy of Bevercotes is for its invertebrates, really. It's a smashing place. Lots of dragonflies here, and I've just seen red-eyed damselfly for the first time here. I would like to try and be able to get near them, but for that I would need a boat, and I don't happen to have a boat on me at the moment. But this old bridge here is ideal to watch several species of hawkers that are hawking up and down and patrolling this stretch of the River Mead, and there's brown hawker and a range of other species. There's not so many damselflies here though at the moment. I presume that they're suffering a short season, as so many invertebrates have, because normally you would be putting common blue damselflies up here by the dozen as you walk round several of the ponds and areas of water that there are here. But it's a cracking spot. This is looking west, roughly towards the Mansfield area. You may well see from time to time a number of hawker dragonflies coming up to catch insects. This bridge is particularly an excellent place to see them. It's also good because a lot of birds come down here. There has been a crossbill that's been visited. A lot of birds come here to drink, but there's a lot of scrub and brambles here, which makes it an ideal place for warblers. One day there'll be something rare here, aside from the Siberian stonechat that was here a number of years ago. I actually twitched that. But this is just a great place to come for a wander round. Say, it's well used by dog walkers, and it's lovely when there's no sound of aeroplanes coming into land or taking off from the nearby Gamston aerodrome. Well, rather surprisingly, this oak seems to be doing very well. It's only a young oak, planted when a lot of the other trees on here were planted, so it's barely even 20 foot tall, but it's certainly producing more acorns than I thought oaks or anything would do this year. I don't think it's going to be a terrific year for a lot of nuts and for fruit. But saying that, this oak is doing very well indeed. Unfortunately, of course, it's a sign that autumn is on its way. It's a smashing spot, especially this lake. I do like this little bit of water. I'm just working my way down to the water lilies on that side, see whether I can get close enough to photograph any red-eyed damselflies that are there. But all the common species that you'd expect are here. It really is a great site. It's a lovely place to come and have a couple of hours wandering around. Butterflies are getting a bit thin on the ground at the moment, and that's obviously through the dry weather. It's shortened a lot of the sort of flight periods But there's some second broods now appearing of common blue and brown algas and the like. But it's lovely. I'm now climbing away from the two areas of water. There's far too many members of the public and far too many dogs down there for my liking. But once you get away from the areas of water here at Bevercotes, it tends to get a lot quieter. You just get the odd couple walking around the site. It is a very large area, and I never touch the whole site, to be honest. I tend to come to this sort of favourite area and walk around it, but the direction I'm going now, I've probably only walked twice ever since we first started coming here, Dillis myself, a number of years ago. But this is the kind of habitat that's here. Bevercotes is unusual because all the tracks are this limestone, and that does create a really nice diverse flora. Some nice plants here. I'm sure somebody could have many a happy hour studying the botany of Bevercotes. And say for the invertebrate and the entomologist, there's a lot here to suit as well. It's a cracking site. Now this is more like it. I don't see many folks coming up there, or from that way, or from back where I've come. It's amazing the difference it makes just by moving a couple of 100 yards away from the water. This is a part of Bevercotes that I rarely say, I think it's twice been up this path here. Never walked that. But yeah, what a fantastic ride that is. It's just a shame that it's been such a short season for butterflies, because now there'd still be a lot of butterflies about, but here in Nottinghamshire there's very few about, thin on the ground. There's the odd gatekeeper still knocking around, and most of those are females now, as they are meadow browns. I've seen one of each here today, and I've seen one small skipper, and that's about it. Maybe one speckled wood, if I remember right, and a few whites, but nymphalids, not a one, nothing. But the thing with nymphalids, we're sort of in between broods, and peacocks, although they've all hatched out now in the second brood, peacocks go into hibernation very quickly. You do well to see a peacock butterfly after the budlies have finished, and certainly once you get into September, peacocks are very rare. It's strange really why butterflies do go into hibernation so quickly. Brimstone is another one. You don't get many brimstones in the autumn. It may sound incredibly breezy on the phone, but that breeze is welcome today as the temperature and the sun are climbing higher in the sky. We're now into early afternoon, and thankfully not a soul in sight. This is the way I'm heading, and I'm going down this way because it's a nice wide ride anyway, but there's ditches either side of the track, quite a way off the track. Unfortunately they're not damp at the moment, but Bevercotes is one of few sites in Nottinghamshire for the short-winged conehead. Now, short-winged conehead arrived in Nottinghamshire pretty much at the same time, or within a year or so, of long-winged conehead, and whereas long-winged conehead and also Russell's bush cricket have gone absolutely balmy and are now found everywhere, especially Russell's bush cricket. When I drive anywhere in Nottinghamshire now with grassy roadside verges, I can hear the buzzing of Russell's bush crickets as I drive along, and now at the moment I'm completely surrounded by them. In fact, the entrance to Bevercotes Pitwood is probably one of the best sites for Russell's bush crickets. There's a huge population really concentrated just as you come in through the entrance. But The big mystery, I say, long-winged conehead's done really well in Nottinghamshire and is everywhere in good numbers, but short-winged conehead, we're still looking at single records as far as I and the County Corder are aware, from just a handful of sites. I seem to think there's somewhere like called Cotgrave Meadows that had it originally. It's also been found at Shirebrook Pit Wood, but not seen since. And a number of years ago there was a record from here at Bevercotes somewhere, and again a single record not seen since. I've looked for it for a number of years, probably for about 10 years. Dennis and myself looked for it, and I continue to look for it, and I believe the county recorder continues to look for it, all to no avail. It must be here somewhere. It's certainly in Nottinghamshire somewhere, and I'm aware that it's in Yorkshire. And unfortunately I don't have a photo of it, having not seen it before, but I'll put photos in a research bush cricket and long-winged conehead to give you some idea of what short-winged conehead is like. And that's one of the reasons why I chose to come here today after short-winged conehead. One's got to give itself up to me at some time. Now, the bird's call is great spotted woodpecker, but I'm showing you this because the heads of wild carrot are great for a number of things. In a month or so's time, most of these heads that you unfurl will have an earwig occupying. At the moment it's two shield bugs, brassica bug and hairy shield bug, but also this spider. There's one or two of these, and this is a female, and it's probably one of two species. It would be wrong for me to suggest that this is one species, but it's Enoplognaatha anyway, and it's either Enoplognaatha ovata, which is sometimes called the candy stripe spider, because the abdomen can be beautifully decorated in pink. The other species it could be is Enoplognaatha latimana. Now that's the species that does occur in Nottinghamshire, and it's usually found in a more heathland type spot. Now you'll get this species, or certainly Enoplognaatha ovata in your garden. It'll often curl up a leaf, web that leaf up tight, and then it produces a lovely round blue egg sac. This female hasn't done that yet, but she's there tucked away. Now, some of the other ones that I've seen already have produced an egg sac, but they're a lovely spider. Latimana, in my experience, is always this sort of creamy white, and what they do, they enter the seed heads and web it over. You can see some of the webbing, the tie haven't sort of broke open, and then produce an egg sac in there, and they sit with that egg sac for a couple of weeks until the young are ready to leave. And here's another head. Typical signs of Enoplognaatha being resident. You can see how the seeds are now developing, and its spider has webbed that over. And if we open this one up, this one has got an egg sac, and there you can see, I don't know whether you can see, a beautiful blue, almost a powder blue egg sac. Now I won't open it up anymore. The female you might be able to see moving in there. It's a very common spider, and you'll find Enoplognaatha ovata, say, certainly in your garden. Usually, I'll say, it'll produce a web, it'll curl a large leaf under itself or up and over itself, web it secure, and then produce an egg sac. You'll find it on a range of trees and shrubs, and that's a spider that, if you've got a decent vegetated and well planted garden, you can go out and find this afternoon. This is another forest ride. This is, to be honest, it's on the edge of the former colliery site here. if I remember right, it was just at the back of the camera where a number of years ago Siberian stonechat was. I seem to remember standing on this path here and viewing it just a few yards away. It was either there or it was just up there. I've now found this area of knapweed. There's what looks like a painted lady knocking about, but there's also at least one meadow brown. In fact, yeah, there's two painted ladies here, so we might be able to get some footage of painted ladies. I might be able to show you something. Now, the two painted ladies that are here are incredibly fresh. These really are fresh. What a stunning butterfly. Absolutely stunning these are. These, of course, are the result of migrants arriving here earlier in the spring, and I was expecting large numbers of painted ladies, but they've not materialised, although a lot of eggs were laid and larvae produced. But if painted ladies are going to move south, it's going to be this month, and they may well just trickle through rather than go through en masse. But this will be a really good autumn for red admirals. Well, if you've watched this channel for any number of weeks or months and you've not got the idea yet, this is quite how I like things. I do like sites that I've pretty much got to myself, and since I've moved away from the two areas of water here at Bevercotes, I haven't seen a soul, which is good because it allows you to concentrate on what you're looking for. Certainly does me. Sometimes I like the company of people, but I find that when you're talking and you're in conversation, you tend to miss things. If you're on your own, you can solely concentrate on looking for different species. But saying that, I'm enjoying more wandering, more wheezy wanderings than actual recording this year. I'm still recording very few things that I see, only usually if it's unusual. That certainly doesn't stop me from appreciating everything around me. And it does make me appreciate more the scenery of where I'm walking in. Just on the left of the picture here, there's some alders, and there's something rather unusual about these alders, and pretty much all the alders on pit tops at the moment, because they've been able to successfully rejuvenate and refoliate. That's after a spring of huge infestation of the alder leaf beetle, and it looked as though it was going to reach mammoth or epidemic proportions. One good thing about the very hot spell that we've had here, certainly here in Nottinghamshire, it seems to have knocked the alder leaf beetle for six. I've seen no adults for weeks now, and only a handful of larvae. It really looks as though the alder leaf beetle can't handle the high temperatures, and to be honest, and the numbers that they were getting, that is a very good thing in my book. It was starting to become a severe problem. No doubt, as with everything, it's all swings and roundabouts, good years and bad years, and good years and decades. It'll make a comeback. In the meantime, of all things, I can see two people. I think it's time to make a move. Well, there's many person would like to see me in a ditch, probably laid in it, but what a lovely hour or so that I've had. Say, just seen two people since I left the water areas. Whole place, rest of the place is like this, look. Not a soul. Everywhere's very dry. A few butterflies. Seen a couple of brown augurs sort of knocking around on the sides of the path looking for somewhere to egg lay, but they're struggling. We had a bit of rain on and off for a week, few days ago it finished, and now we're back into what looks like another long hot and dry period. That bit of rain's probably done some good. It's certainly enabled some regeneration of many plants, especially grasses. Birdsfoot trefoil's come back well, I've noticed as well, and it's also starting to flower again quite profusely. That rain, say, it may well have just helped maintain things through the coming weeks. It's a very, very dry year, and certainly the driest I've ever known since 1976. Even then I was quite young. But Bevercotes pit wood, like everywhere else, is showing all the signs of dryness. A lot of the trees are defoliating early. There's a lot of dying leaves and dieback on the trees, especially sallows. With sallows, like in damper conditions, they're really suffering. Certainly a lot of trees in Sherwood Forest are suffering with defoliation, and a number of purple emperor eggs have been lost through the leaves being shed, but also through the high temperatures. Nick and Samantha Brownlee have been doing a lot of work again, monitoring the eggs, and eggs that should have hatched long before now are being checked and still being found and still present, with the larvae fully formed in most cases and dead inside. It's a sorry state of affairs, but when you get hot, dry summers like this, it's the kind of thing you can expect, and the temperatures that we had. Let's hope we have a decent late summer and autumn, that it don't get too hot and we get a bit of rain in between, and that way it can green up again, because this place is a beautiful place. It's beautiful on a day like today, but when it's green, it's a lovely place to come and have a wander and pass on a few hours.